The environment plays a crucial role in the survival and development of all living organisms, including animals. Environmental factors such as climate change, habitat destruction, pollution, and human activities have significant impacts on animal populations, behavior, physiology, and evolution. This essay aims to explore the effects of the environment on animal life and development, and the consequences of human activities on the natural world. Effects of environment on animal life. The environment directly affects the survival and reproduction of animals. Changes in temperature, precipitation, and weather patterns can influence the availability of food, water, and shelter for animals. For example, changes in rainfall patterns can cause droughts or floods, which can result in the loss of habitat and food sources for animals. Similarly, rising temperatures can affect the physiology of animals, causing changes in their metabolism, growth, and behavior. In addition to climate factors, habitat destruction and fragmentation have a significant impact on animal life. Human activities such as deforestation, urbanization, and agriculture have destroyed and degraded natural habitats, reducing the availability of resources and disrupting animal populations. Habitat fragmentation also affects animal movement and gene flow, which can lead to genetic isolation and loss of biodiversity. Environmental pollution. Environmental pollution is another significant factor affecting animal life and development. Air pollution, water pollution, and soil contamination can have severe consequences for animal health and survival. For example, industrial and agricultural pollution can contaminate water sources, leading to toxic effects on aquatic animals. Similarly, air pollution can lead to respiratory problems and other health issues for animals living in urban environments. Human activities and animal life. Human activities such as hunting, poaching, and wildlife trade have led to the decline and extinction of many animal species. Hunting and poaching have been major threats to many large mammals, including elephants, rhinos, and tigers. In addition, the wildlife trade has led to the illegal trafficking of endangered species, which has contributed to their decline in the wild. Conservation and protection. Conservation efforts are essential to protect animal species and their habitats from the effects of environmental degradation and human activities. Protected areas, national parks, and wildlife reserves are critical for preserving biodiversity and protecting animal populations. Conservation efforts also involve addressing environmental issues such as pollution, climate change, and habitat destruction, which require coordinated global action. Effects of environment on animal development. The environment also plays a critical role in the development of animals. Environmental factors such as temperature, light, and food availability can affect the growth and maturation of animals. For example, temperature plays a crucial role in the development of reptile embryos, with the sex of the offspring determined by the temperature of the nest. Similarly, the availability and quality of food can affect the growth and development of animals, with malnutrition leading to stunted growth and developmental abnormalities. The environment also influences animal behavior and social structure. For example, the availability of resources such as food and water can affect the behavior and social structure of animals. In social animals such as primates and elephants, the social structure is influenced by the availability of resources, with dominant individuals controlling access to resources such as food and mates. Human activities and animal behavior. Human activities such as urbanization and land use change can also have significant impacts on animal behavior. For example, noise pollution from urban environments can disrupt animal communication, leading to changes in mating behavior and territorial disputes. Similarly, artificial lighting can affect animal behavior, with nocturnal animals such as bats and owls being particularly vulnerable to disruption. The impacts of human activities on animal behavior can also have consequences for ecosystem functioning. For example, changes in the behavior of pollinators can affect plant reproduction and community structure, with potential cascading effects on other organisms in the ecosystem. Conservation and restoration. Conservation efforts aimed at protecting animal species and their habitats also involve restoration and rehabilitation of degraded ecosystems. Restoration efforts involve restoring degraded habitats to their former state, while rehabilitation involves the care and release of injured or orphaned animals back into the wild. These efforts are essential for maintaining healthy ecosystems and protecting biodiversity. Furthermore, conservation efforts also involve addressing the underlying causes of environmental degradation and human activities that threaten animal populations. This includes promoting sustainable practices in agriculture, forestry, and fisheries, as well as reducing greenhouse gas emissions and addressing climate change. One of the most significant impacts of the environment on animal life and development is the relationship between animals and their predators. Predation plays a crucial role in shaping the behavior, morphology, and evolution of animals, with many adaptations and strategies evolving in response to predation pressure. For example, animals may evolve physical defenses such as armor, spines, or camouflage to avoid being detected by predators, or develop behavioral adaptations such as hiding, fleeing, or fighting back. However, human activities such as hunting and poaching have disrupted the balance of predator-prey relationships, leading to declines in predator populations and cascading effects on ecosystems. For example, the decline of apex predators such as wolves and big cats has led to overgrazing and changes in vegetation in some ecosystems, with potential impacts on other species in the food chain. The effects of the environment on animal life and development also have implications for human health and well-being. For example, many animal species are important sources of food, medicine, and cultural practices for human communities, with potential impacts on human health and nutrition. In addition, many animal species are important pollinators and ecosystem services, contributing to the health and productivity of agricultural systems and natural ecosystems. Furthermore, the loss of biodiversity and degradation of ecosystems also have significant economic impacts. Ecosystem services such as water purification, soil fertility, and climate regulation have significant economic value, with potential impacts on human livelihoods and economic development. The effects of the environment on animal life and development are not limited to individual animals or populations. Environmental factors can also influence the interactions between species and the structure and function of ecosystems. For example, the availability of resources such as food and water can shape the interactions between species, with potential impacts on the food web and nutrient cycling in ecosystems. Furthermore, environmental factors such as temperature and precipitation can also affect the distribution and range of species, with potential impacts on biogeography and biotic interactions. Climate change, in particular, is expected to have significant impacts on the distribution and abundance of many animal species, with potential consequences for ecosystem functioning and biodiversity. The impacts of the environment on animal life and development also have ethical and moral implications. As sentient beings, animals have intrinsic value and are entitled to respect and consideration. Human activities that harm or exploit animals, such as hunting, poaching, or captivity, raise ethical questions about the rights and responsibilities of humans towards other living beings. Moreover, the impacts of human activities on the environment and animal populations have raised concerns about environmental justice and equity. Many vulnerable and marginalized communities, including indigenous peoples, rely on animal species and ecosystems for their livelihoods and cultural practices. Environmental degradation and loss of biodiversity can have significant impacts on these communities, with potential implications for human rights and social justice. Another important aspect of the impacts of the environment on animal life and development is the role of human-wildlife conflict. Interactions among animals and other species in the same living environment are essential for the survival and balance of ecosystems. The relationships between different organisms can be categorized into three main types: competition, predation, and mutualism. Each type of interaction plays a critical role in regulating population sizes and maintaining biodiversity. Competition occurs when two or more species compete for the same resources, such as food, water, or space. This interaction can have both positive and negative effects on the competing species. On the one hand, competition can lead to the development of specialized adaptations, allowing each species to use resources more efficiently. On the other hand, competition can also result in resource depletion and limit population growth. For example, two bird species that feed on the same type of insect may experience decreased reproduction rates if the insect population declines. Predation is another important type of interaction among animals. Predators hunt and kill their prey for food, while prey try to avoid being caught. This relationship is critical for maintaining the balance of ecosystems, as it regulates the population sizes of both predators and prey. Predation also selects for certain traits in prey, such as speed or camouflage, that help them avoid being eaten. In turn, predators may develop specialized hunting strategies to catch their prey. For example, cheetahs have evolved incredible speed to catch prey such as gazelles, while gazelles have developed acute senses to detect predators and flee quickly. Mutualism is a type of interaction in which both species benefit. This can occur in a variety of ways, such as when one species provides protection or shelter for the other, or when they engage in a mutually beneficial exchange of resources. For example, certain species of ants protect aphids in exchange for the sweet nectar they produce. In turn, the aphids benefit from the protection and receive a source of food, while the ants benefit from the nectar and protect their colony from potential threats. However, these three types of interactions do not occur in isolation, and many species can engage in multiple types of interactions simultaneously. For example, a predator may compete with other predators for food while also engaging in mutualistic relationships with other species for protection or other benefits. These complex interactions can have profound effects on the structure and function of ecosystems. Human activities, such as habitat destruction and climate change, can disrupt these interactions and lead to imbalances in ecosystems. For example, overfishing can deplete predator populations, causing a cascade of effects on the rest of the ecosystem. Similarly, deforestation can reduce habitat availability for certain species, leading to increased competition and decreased biodiversity. Apart from the three main types of interactions among animals and other species, there are other interactions that are equally important. These interactions include commensalism, amensalism, and parasitism. Commensalism is a type of interaction in which one species benefits while the other is neither harmed nor helped. For example, barnacles attach themselves to whales and feed on the tiny organisms that float in the water around them. The barnacles benefit from the whale's movement, which creates a current that brings food to them, while the whales are unaffected by the presence of the barnacles. Amensalism is a type of interaction in which one species is negatively affected while the other is unaffected. For example, a plant that releases a toxin into the soil that inhibits the growth of nearby plants is exhibiting amensalism. The plant releasing the toxin is unaffected, while the nearby plants are negatively impacted. Parasitism is a type of interaction in which one species, the parasite, benefits at the expense of the other, the host. Parasites are often small organisms that live inside or on the host and feed on their tissues or bodily fluids. Parasites can have a significant impact on the health and survival of the host, and some can even cause death. For example, the malaria parasite is transmitted to humans by mosquitoes and can cause severe illness and death if left untreated. In addition to these types of interactions, animals and other species also rely on abiotic factors in their environment, such as temperature, water availability, and soil quality, to survive and thrive. For example, some species may require a specific temperature range to reproduce, while others may only be able to survive in areas with high rainfall. It is also important to note that the interactions among animals and other species are not static and can change over time. For example, a predator population may decline, leading to an increase in the prey population. This, in turn, may lead to increased competition for resources and a decrease in the prey population. These changes can have ripple effects throughout the ecosystem and can be difficult to predict. One important aspect of the interactions among animals and other species is the concept of keystone species. A keystone species is a species that has a disproportionate impact on its environment compared to its abundance. This means that if the keystone species were to be removed from the ecosystem would be dramatically altered or even collapse. This is because the keystone species often play critical roles in regulating the interactions among other species in the ecosystem. For example, sea otters are considered a keystone species in the kelp forest ecosystem, as they help regulate the population sizes of sea urchins, which feed on kelp. Without sea otters, the sea urchin population would grow out of control and decimate the kelp forest, leading to a loss of habitat for many other species. Another important aspect of the interactions among animals and other species is the concept of trophic levels. Trophic levels are the different levels in the food chain, ranging from primary producers, plants, to primary consumers, herbivores, to secondary consumers, carnivores, to tertiary consumers, top predators. The interactions among species at different trophic levels can have important effects on the structure and function of ecosystems. For example, a decline in the population of a top predator can lead to an increase in the population of its prey, which can in turn lead to a decrease in the population of the prey's food source. Human activities, such as the introduction of invasive species and pollution, can also have significant effects on the interactions among animals and other species. Invasive species can outcompete native species for resources and disrupt the balance of ecosystems, while pollution can contaminate water and soil, leading to health problems and the death of many species. Climate change is also affecting the interactions among animals and other species, as it is causing shifts. in the distribution and abundance of many species, leading to changes in the interactions among them. One interesting phenomenon related to the interactions among animals and other species is coevolution. The mechanism of inheritance in animals is a fundamental aspect of biology that has been studied for centuries. Understanding how genetic material is passed from one generation to the next is crucial to our understanding of evolution and the diversity of life on Earth. In this essay, I will explore the mechanisms of inheritance in animals, including the structure and function of DNA, the process of DNA replication, and the various modes of inheritance. Body, structure and function of DNA. DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, is the genetic material that carries the hereditary information in all living organisms. It is a long, double-stranded helix composed of nucleotides, which are the basic building blocks of DNA. Each nucleotide consists of a sugar molecule, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. The four nitrogenous bases in DNA are adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. These bases pair up in a specific way. Adenine always pairs with thymine, and guanine always pairs with cytosine, to form the rungs of the DNA ladder. The sequence of these bases along the DNA molecule determines the genetic code, which is the blueprint for all of the proteins and other molecules that make up an organism. The genetic code is read in groups of 3 nucleotides, called codons, which specify the amino acids that will be joined together to form a protein. DNA replication. Before a cell can divide, it must first replicate its DNA so that each new cell will have a complete set of genetic material. DNA replication is a complex process that involves unwinding the double helix, separating the 2 strands, and using each strand as a template to build a new complementary strand. The enzyme DNA polymerase adds nucleotides to the growing strand, matching them up with a template strand according to the base pairing rules. Errors can occur during DNA replication, such as when the wrong nucleotide is added or when the DNA strand is damaged. Cells have several mechanisms for repairing these errors, including proofreading by DNA polymerase and specialized repair enzymes. Modes of inheritance. There are several modes of inheritance in animals, including autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, X-linked dominant, and X-linked recessive. In autosomal dominant inheritance, a single copy of the mutant allele is sufficient to cause the disease, while in autosomal recessive inheritance, 2 copies of the mutant allele are required. X-linked dominant inheritance occurs when the mutant allele is located on the X chromosome, and X-linked. Recessive inheritance occurs when the mutant allele is located on the X chromosome and is expressed in males who have only one X chromosome. Epigenetics. In addition to the genetic code encoded in DNA, there is a growing body of research on epigenetics, which refers to heritable changes in gene expression that do not involve changes to the DNA sequence itself. Epigenetic modifications can be passed down from one generation to the next and can be influenced by environmental factors such as diet, stress, and exposure to toxins. Examples of epigenetic modifications include DNA methylation, histone modification, and non-coding RNA. Epigenetic changes can have a profound impact on an organism's development and physiology, and disruptions in these processes have been linked to a wide range of diseases, including cancer, heart disease, and neurological disorders. Understanding the mechanisms of epigenetic regulation and their role in inheritance is an active area of research in biology and medicine. Genetic variation. Another important aspect of inheritance in animals is genetic variation. While all individuals within a species share a common genetic code, there are often differences between individuals due to variations in their DNA sequences. These variations can arise through a variety of mechanisms, such as mutations, recombination, and gene flow. Genetic variation can have both positive and negative effects on an organism's fitness, depending on the environment and the specific genetic changes involved. For example, some genetic variations may confer resistance to diseases or increase an organism's ability to tolerate environmental stress, while others may be harmful and increase the risk of developing certain disorders. Population genetics. The study of genetic variation and its distribution within and among populations is known as population genetics. Population genetics is concerned with understanding how genetic variation arises, how it is maintained, and how it changes over time in response to various factors such as natural selection, genetic drift, and migration. Population genetics has important applications in fields such as conservation biology, where the preservation of genetic diversity within endangered populations is a major concern, and in medicine, where understanding the genetic basis of diseases can lead to better diagnosis and treatment. Molecular genetics. Molecular genetics is the study of the molecular basis of inheritance. This field focuses on the structure and function of genes, as well as the regulation of gene expression. Techniques such as DNA sequencing, gene cloning, and genetic engineering have revolutionized our ability to study the molecular genetics of organisms. Molecular genetics has led to many important discoveries, such as the identification of disease-causing mutations, the development of genetically modified organisms, and the creation of new diagnostic tools and therapies. Evolutionary genetics. The mechanism of inheritance is closely linked to the process of evolution. Evolutionary genetics is the study of how genetic variation and inheritance patterns change over time in response to natural selection, genetic drift, and other factors. Evolutionary genetics has been instrumental in our understanding of the origins and diversification of life on Earth. By studying the genetic relationships between different organisms, scientists can reconstruct the evolutionary history of species and infer patterns of divergence and adaptation. Application of genetics. The study of the mechanism of inheritance has important applications in many fields, including medicine, agriculture, and forensic science. In medicine, genetics is used to diagnose and treat genetic disorders, to develop personalized medicine based on a patient's genetic profile. and to identify genetic risk factors for common diseases such as cancer and heart disease. In agriculture, genetics is used to develop new crop varieties with improved yield and resistance to pests and diseases. The distribution of animal species across continents and oceans is an intriguing topic that has captured the attention of scientists and nature enthusiasts for centuries. The patterns of animal distribution vary significantly across different habitats. And understanding the factors that influence these patterns is critical for conserving biodiversity and preserving the natural world. This essay will discuss the distribution of animal species across continents and oceans, examining the factors that influence their distribution, and highlighting the importance of conservation efforts to protect these species. Distribution of animal species on continents. The distribution of animal species on continents is influenced by a range of factors, including climate, geography, and historical events. The Earth's continents are characterized by a wide variety of habitats, from rainforests to deserts, each with its unique set of environmental conditions that affect the distribution of animal species. One of the most significant factors influencing the distribution of animal species on continents is climate. Animals are adapted to survive in specific climate conditions, and changes in temperature, rainfall, and other environmental factors can have a significant impact on their distribution. For example, the tropical rainforests of South America and Africa are home to a vast array of animal species adapted to thrive in the hot and humid conditions of these regions. In contrast, the cold and dry conditions of the Arctic and Antarctic regions limit the distribution of animal species, with only a few species adapted to survive in these extreme conditions. Geography is another critical factor influencing the distribution of animal species on continents. Land masses can act as barriers, separating animal populations and preventing them from interbreeding. For example, the Wallace Line, a boundary between the Asian and Australian continents, has long been recognized as a significant barrier to the distribution of animal species. The line separates animals that evolved in Australia, such as marsupials, from those that evolved in Asia, such as primates. Historical events, such as continental drift and the movement of tectonic plates, have also played a role in shaping the distribution of animal species on continents. The breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea over 200 million years ago created separate land masses, leading to the evolution of distinct groups of animal species in different regions of the world. Distribution of animal species in oceans. The distribution of animal species in oceans is also influenced by a range of factors, including temperature, currents, and food availability. The oceans cover over 70% of the Earth's surface, and the vast expanse of water creates a diverse range of habitats that support a vast array of animal species. Temperature is a critical factor influencing the distribution of animal species in oceans. Different animal species are adapted to survive in specific temperature ranges, and changes in water temperature can significantly affect their distribution. For example, coral reefs, one of the most biodiverse habitats in the oceans, are only found in warm tropical waters. Ocean currents also play a crucial role in the distribution of animal species. Currents can transport animal populations over long distances, creating new habitats for species that would not be able to survive in certain regions without these transport mechanisms. For example, the Gulf Stream, a warm ocean current in the Atlantic Ocean brings warm water from the tropics to the North Atlantic, creating a unique habitat for a range of animal species. Food availability is another critical factor influencing the distribution of animal species in oceans. The ocean's productivity varies significantly in different regions, with areas of high productivity supporting a greater diversity of animal species. For example, the upwelling zones off the coast of Peru and Chile support an abundance of marine life, including a vast array of fish species. Importance of conservation efforts. The distribution of animal species across continents and oceans is an essential component of the Earth's biodiversity. However, human activities, such as habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change, are threatening the survival of many animal species. Conservation efforts are critical to protect these species and preserve the natural world for future generations. Habitat destruction is one of the most significant threats to animal species on continents and in oceans. Human activities such as deforestation, urbanization, and agriculture are destroying the natural habitats of many animal species, leading to a decline in their populations. Conservation efforts are needed to protect these habitats and create new ones to support endangered species. Pollution is another significant threat to animal species on continents and in oceans. The release of chemicals, plastics, and other pollutants into the environment is affecting the health and survival of many animal species. Conservation efforts are needed to reduce pollution levels and protect the natural habitats of these species. Climate change is also a critical threat to animal species on continents and in oceans. The warming of the Earth's climate is affecting the distribution and behavior of many animal species, leading to declines in their populations. Conservation efforts are needed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate the effects of climate change on animal species. Conservation efforts to protect animal species on continents and in oceans include a range of strategies, such as habitat protection, species management, and public education. Habitat protection involves identifying and preserving critical habitats for endangered species, such as national parks, wildlife reserves, and marine protected areas. Species management involves monitoring and controlling the populations of endangered species, such as through breeding programs and habitat restoration projects. Public education aims to raise awareness about the importance of conservation efforts and promote sustainable practices that reduce the impact of human activities on the natural world. Conservation efforts are not only important for the protection of individual animal species, but also for the overall health and balance of ecosystems on continents and in oceans. Ecosystems are made up of many different species that are interconnected and interdependent. The loss of one species can have a ripple effect throughout the ecosystem, affecting the survival of other species and altering the entire system's function. By protecting endangered species and preserving their habitats, conservation efforts can help to maintain the biodiversity and stability of ecosystems on continents and in oceans. In addition to the ecological benefits, conservation efforts also have significant economic and cultural benefits. Many animal species provide essential resources and services, such as food, medicine, and tourism. By conserving these species, we can ensure the continued availability of these resources and the preservation of cultural traditions that rely on them. Furthermore, many people find joy and inspiration in the natural world, and conservation efforts can provide opportunities for education, recreation, and spiritual fulfillment. However, conservation efforts face many challenges, including lack of funding, political opposition, and conflicting priorities. To overcome these challenges, it is essential to engage in collaborative and interdisciplinary approaches that bring together scientists, policymakers, local communities, and other stakeholders. By working together, we can develop effective conservation strategies that balance the needs of people and the natural world. Another challenge facing conservation efforts is the issue of illegal wildlife trade. Adaptation is a crucial aspect of life for all organisms on this planet. In a constantly changing environment, adaptation plays a pivotal role in the survival and evolution of species. This is especially true for animals living in harsh and unpredictable environments, where adaptation becomes a matter of life or death. In this essay, we will explore the various ways in which animals have adapted to harsh environments, and how this has allowed them to survive and thrive in the face of adversity. Body. Animals living in harsh environments face a wide range of challenges, from extreme temperatures and limited food and water resources to predators and parasites. In order to survive in these conditions, they must adapt to their environment in a number of ways. One of the most common adaptations is changes in behavior. For example, animals in desert environments may be active primarily at night, when temperatures are cooler and water is more readily available. Similarly, animals in polar regions may hibernate during the long winter months to conserve energy and avoid the extreme cold. Another important adaptation is changes in morphology, or physical characteristics. Many animals in harsh environments have evolved specialized features that help them survive. For example, the Arctic fox has thick fur and a small body size to help it retain heat in the cold climate. The camel, on the other hand, has evolved the ability to store water in its hump, allowing it to survive for long periods without access to water. In addition to behavior and morphology, animals in harsh environments may also undergo physiological changes. For example, some animals have evolved the ability to tolerate extreme temperatures or to survive in environments with low oxygen levels. Some species of fish have even adapted to live in underground caves without any light. Evolutionary adaptation is also an important aspect of how animals cope with harsh environments. Over time, natural selection favors individuals with traits that increase their chances of survival and reproduction in their environment. As a result, populations of animals can evolve to become better adapted to their surroundings. Adaptation is not a one-time event, it is an ongoing process that occurs over generations. As the environment changes, animals must continually adapt to stay alive. This is why some animals have evolved to have incredible resilience in the face of extreme conditions. One example of this is the tardigrade, a tiny animal that can survive in almost any environment. Tardigrades have been found living in the vacuum of space, in boiling hot springs, and in the depths of the ocean. They are able to survive extreme temperatures, radiation, and even complete dehydration by going into a state of suspended animation. Another example of incredible adaptation is the polar bear. These animals have evolved to be perfectly suited to life in the Arctic, with thick fur, large paws for walking on ice, and a keen sense of smell for hunting prey. However, as the Arctic ice melts due to climate change, polar bears are facing new challenges and may need to adapt further to survive. One interesting aspect of adaptation is that it can occur not just at the individual or population level, but also at the level of communities or ecosystems. For example, when a new predator is introduced to an ecosystem, the prey species may adapt by changing their behavior or morphology. This can have cascading effects on the entire ecosystem, as other species may also need to adapt in response. It's worth noting that not all animals are equally capable of adapting to harsh environments. Endangered species, for example, may not have the genetic diversity or adaptive capacity needed to survive in a rapidly changing world. As humans continue to impact the environment through activities such as deforestation, pollution, and climate change, it is important to consider the impact of these actions on the ability of animals to adapt and survive. While adaptation is often thought of as a positive trait, it's important to note that not all adaptations are beneficial. For example, some animals may develop mutations that increase their chances of surviving in a specific environment, but may also have negative effects on their overall health or ability to survive in other environments. In addition, some adaptations may only be effective in the short term and may not be sustainable over long periods of time. One interesting area of study in adaptation is the role of epigenetics. Epigenetic changes are modifications to an organism's genes that can be passed down through generations without changing the DNA sequence itself. These changes can be triggered by environmental factors, such as changes in diet or exposure to toxins. In some cases, epigenetic changes can lead to adaptations that help animals survive in specific environments. For example, a recent study found that mice exposed to a high-fat diet for several generations developed epigenetic changes that led to increased insulin sensitivity and improved glucose metabolism. These changes help the mice survive in a high-fat environment, but may have negative effects on their ability to survive in other environments. This highlights the complex and often trade-off nature of adaptation. It's also worth noting that not all animals adapt to harsh environments in the same way. Different species may have different strategies for coping with environmental stress, based on their evolutionary history, physiology, and behavior. For example, some species of cacti have evolved to store water in their stems, while others have evolved long taproots to reach water deep underground. Finally, it's important to remember that adaptation is not the only way animals cope with harsh environments. Some animals may migrate to more favorable environments, while others may form social groups to increase their chances of survival. Still, others may rely on symbiotic relationships with other species to obtain the resources they need to survive. One interesting area of research in adaptation is the role of plasticity. Plasticity refers to the ability of an organism to modify its behavior, morphology, or physiology in response to changes in its environment. This can occur within an individual's lifetime, rather than over generations of evolution. For example, birds may change the size of their beaks in response to changes in the availability of food resources. Plasticity is an important adaptation mechanism because it allows animals to respond rapidly to changes in their environment. However, it also has limitations. For example, Plasticity may not be effective in extreme or rapidly changing environments, where animals may not have enough time to adapt. The process of reproduction in animals is a complex and varied process that plays a crucial role in the survival and continuation of species. There are many different methods of reproduction used by animals, ranging from sexual reproduction to asexual reproduction. The choice of method is often influenced by the environment and the specific needs of each species. Sexual reproduction is the most common form of reproduction in animals and involves the fusion of male and female gametes to create a zygote. This zygote then develops into a new individual, with genetic material from both parents. The process of sexual reproduction in animals is often triggered by environmental cues, such as changes in temperature or the presence of certain chemicals. This allows the species to ensure that reproduction occurs at the optimal time for survival and growth. Asexual reproduction, on the other hand, involves the production of offspring without the fusion of gametes. This is common in species that have a low mortality rate, such as some invertebrates and plants. Some animals, such as reptiles and fish, can switch between sexual and asexual reproduction depending on environmental conditions. The process of reproduction in mammals is particularly complex and involves a number of intricate physiological and hormonal processes. In mammals, the female's reproductive system produces eggs, which are fertilized by sperm from the male. This fertilization can occur internally, as in most mammals, or externally, as in some species of fish and amphibians. In mammals, the process of reproduction is controlled by a complex interplay of hormones, including luteinizing hormone, follicle-stimulating hormone, and progesterone. These hormones play a crucial role in regulating the female menstrual cycle and ensuring that ovulation occurs at the optimal time for fertilization. In addition to the different methods of reproduction, animals also have various strategies for ensuring the survival of their offspring. For example, some species have evolved specialized reproductive structures, such as a marsupium in marsupials, which protects and nourishes their young until they are old enough to fend for themselves. Other species, such as birds, provide their offspring with food and care until they are able to survive on their own. Animals also have different strategies for attracting mates and reproducing successfully. Some species, such as many birds, have elaborate courtship rituals and displays to attract a mate. Others, such as reptiles, use pheromones to attract mates. In some species, such as primates, males compete for access to females and the opportunity to reproduce. It is also worth noting that the process of reproduction is not always successful, and many animals face challenges and obstacles in their quest to successfully reproduce and ensure the survival of their species. For example, some species face environmental challenges, such as changes in temperature or loss of habitat, which can impact their ability to reproduce successfully. Other species face competition from other animals for mates and resources, which can reduce their chances of successfully reproducing. Important to note that the process of reproduction is not just about the continuation of species, but also about evolution and adaptation. The process of sexual reproduction, for example, leads to genetic diversity and the evolution of new traits and adaptations that allow species to better survive and thrive in their environments. The study of animal reproduction also sheds light on the diversity of life and the remarkable adaptations that have evolved in different species. For example, some species have evolved unique reproductive strategies to ensure the survival of their offspring, such as the use of maternal care or specialized reproductive structures. Other species have evolved complex mating systems and courtship behaviors to attract mates and increase their chances of successful reproduction. Moreover, the process of animal reproduction is also closely linked to the ecology and behavior of different species. For example, the timing and location of reproduction can have a significant impact on the distribution and population dynamics of a species. The behavior of animals during the breeding season can also have a significant impact on the survival of their offspring and the overall health of the population. The study of animal reproduction also has important implications for human health and medicine. For example, the hormones and signaling pathways involved in the regulation of animal reproduction are similar to those in humans, and the study of these pathways in animals has led to important advances in our understanding of human reproduction and fertility. Additionally, the study of animal reproduction has also led to the development of new reproductive technologies, such as artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization, which have helped many couples overcome infertility and have children. Additionally, the study of animal reproduction has also led to a better understanding of the impact of human activities on wildlife populations. For example, the impact of habitat loss, pollution, and climate change on the reproductive success of animals is a growing area of concern. These impacts can have far-reaching consequences for entire populations and even entire species, and highlight the need for conservation efforts to protect and preserve wildlife and their habitats. Moreover, the study of animal reproduction has also led to the development of new and innovative techniques for the management and conservation of wildlife populations. For example, the use of assisted reproductive technologies, such as artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization, has been successful in increasing the fertility and reproductive success of endangered species, such as pandas and rhinoceroses. These techniques have also been used to conserve genetic diversity in captive populations, which is critical for the long-term survival of endangered species. The study of animal reproduction also has important implications for agriculture and food production. For example, the development of new reproductive technologies, such as artificial insemination and in vitro fertilization, has been critical in the improvement of livestock breeding programs and the production of higher quality and more productive animals. Additionally, the study of animal reproduction has also led to the development of new and innovative methods for the control of pests and disease vectors, such as the use of sterile insect techniques. Furthermore, the study of animal reproduction is also closely linked to the study of animal behavior and communication. For example, many species have evolved complex courtship displays and mating calls to attract mates and increase their chances of successful reproduction. The study of these displays and calls can provide important insights into the evolution of animal behavior and communication. Another interesting aspect of animal reproduction is the study of sexual selection and the evolution of secondary sexual characteristics. Sexual selection is a process by which certain traits or behaviors evolve because they increase the chances of success in attracting mates and reproducing. This can result in the evolution of bright colors, intricate courtship displays, and unique vocalizations in many species. The study of animal reproduction also has important implications for the study of evolution and speciation. For example, the study of the timing and mechanisms of speciation can provide important insights into how new species evolve and diversify over time. Additionally, the study of the genetic and morphological differences between closely related species can provide important insights into the process of adaptation and the evolution of new traits. The development of invertebrates, a diverse group of animals that lack a backbone, has played a crucial role in the evolution of life on Earth. Invertebrates first appeared over 500 million years ago and have since diversified into a wide range of forms, including insects, mollusks, sponges, and many others. These animals are found in virtually every habitat, from the deep sea to the highest mountains, and play important roles in food webs, pollination, and other ecosystem processes. One of the key features of invertebrates is their remarkable adaptability. They have evolved a wide range of strategies for survival, from developing shells for protection to developing highly specialized digestive systems for extracting nutrients from their environment. This adaptability has allowed invertebrates to thrive in environments that would be hostile to other animals, such as the deep sea or deserts. Another important aspect of invertebrate development is their role in the evolution of other animals. For example, insects were among the first animals to develop wings, allowing them to colonize new habitats and diversify into a wide range of forms. Mollusks, on the other hand, were some of the first animals to develop a soft body and muscular foot, which allowed them to move and explore their environment in new ways. In recent years, there has been growing concern about the impact of human activities on invertebrates. Many species are threatened by habitat destruction, pollution, and climate change, and many are in danger of extinction. This is a cause for concern, as invertebrates play vital roles in maintaining the health of ecosystems and supporting the survival of other species. Additionally, the study of invertebrates has also greatly contributed to our understanding of biology and evolution. Invertebrates have provided key insights into the mechanisms of development, genetics, and the evolution of complex traits. For example, the study of the fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster, has been instrumental in our understanding of genetics and the regulation of gene expression. Similarly, the study of the sea squirt, a simple invertebrate, has provided important insights into the evolution of the nervous system and the development of complex structures such as the spinal cord. Furthermore, invertebrates are also of great economic importance. Many species are used as food for both humans and livestock, while others are used in the production of products such as silk, honey, and pearls. In addition, many invertebrates, such as bees and butterflies, play critical roles in pollination, which is essential for the production of crops and other plants. Despite their importance, the conservation of invertebrates is often overlooked. In many cases, the conservation of more charismatic vertebrates, such as elephants and tigers, receives more attention and funding, while the conservation of invertebrates is neglected. This is unfortunate, as the loss of even a single species of invertebrate can have significant ecological and economic impacts. In light of these challenges, it is important that we take steps to conserve and protect invertebrates and their habitats. This can be achieved through a variety of measures, including habitat protection, the reduction of pollution, and the management of invasive species. Additionally, education and awareness campaigns can help to highlight the importance of invertebrates and the need for their conservation. Another important factor in the development of invertebrates is their role in the food chain. Many species of invertebrates serve as important prey for other animals, including fish, birds, and mammals. For example, zooplankton, tiny floating animals that form the base of the oceanic food chain, are an important food source for a variety of marine species, including whales, seals, and penguins. Similarly, insects serve as a critical food source for many species of birds and bats. Invertebrates also play important roles in the cycling of nutrients within ecosystems. For example, earthworms, snails, and other soil-dwelling invertebrates play important roles in breaking down organic matter and returning nutrients to the soil. This helps to maintain soil fertility and supports the growth of plants and other organisms. Another important aspect of invertebrates is their remarkable diversity. There are over 1 million known species of invertebrates, and it is estimated that there may be many more still undiscovered. This diversity is a result of the ability of invertebrates to evolve and adapt to a wide range of environments, from the deep sea to deserts. Despite their ecological importance, many species of invertebrates are facing serious threats. Climate change, habitat destruction, and the spread of invasive species are among the major threats facing these animals. In addition, many species are also threatened by overharvesting for food, medicine, and other uses. Moreover, the study of invertebrates has also greatly contributed to our understanding of biological processes and has practical applications in fields such as medicine and agriculture. For example, the study of the nervous system of invertebrates has provided important insights into the mechanisms of pain and the development of new pain-relieving drugs. Similarly, the study of the immune system of insects has led to the development of new approaches for controlling the spread of diseases such as malaria and dengue fever. In agriculture, the use of beneficial insects, such as ladybugs and lacewings, has become an important tool for controlling pests and reducing the need for chemical pesticides. This helps to protect crops, reduce the spread of diseases, and promote a healthier environment. Invertebrates also play important roles in the cultural and spiritual lives of many people around the world. For example, butterflies and moths have long been symbols of transformation and rebirth, while spiders have been associated with creation and weaving. In many cultures, insects and other invertebrates are also important sources of food and medicine. Despite their importance, the conservation of invertebrates is often overlooked and underfunded. This is partly due to a lack of public awareness and understanding of the role that these animals play in the ecosystem. In order to protect invertebrates and their habitats, it is important that we increase public awareness and understanding of the role that these animals play in the ecosystem, and invest in research and conservation efforts. Additionally, the study of invertebrates has also led to important technological advancements. For example, the study of the adhesive properties of geckos and other climbing animals has inspired the development of new types of adhesives and gripping technologies. Similarly, the study of the exoskeletons of insects and crustaceans has led to the development of new materials with improved strength and toughness. Moreover, the study of invertebrates has also provided valuable insights into the mechanisms of aging and the potential for extending lifespan. For example, some species of invertebrates, such as lobsters and certain species of jellyfish, are capable of regenerating damaged tissues and avoiding the decline in physiological function that is associated with aging in other animals. By studying these species, researchers hope to gain new insights into the mechanisms of aging and develop new strategies for extending lifespan and improving human health. Invertebrates also play important roles in the study of evolution and the origin of species. By studying the diverse forms and adaptations of these animals, researchers can gain new insights into the mechanisms of evolution and the factors that drive the diversification of species.